I am fully on board with the idea that in certain situations you do need more female speakers.
So I said, like in my video, we have a need for women doing da'wah.
Yes, we need women giving da'wah. Oh my god, look at this feminist cuck. Why do we need to appease the Western liberals? He's trying to get our women to join OnlyFans. I bet. Just watch the whole video.
If you're not going to watch the entire video, if you're not going to watch everything I say, please do not comment before you watch.
If you like the content, alhamdulillah. If you don't, still alhamdulillah.
If you like me, okay. If you don't like me, pray for me.
Feel free to let me know your thoughts, but do so in a respectful manner with adab. Be like, hey bro, I respect the effort you put in, and I know you're coming from a good place, but like, here's where I disagree.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Do not, however, just parrot the same talking points I have already addressed here without adding anything further to the discussion. I know who you people will be. You're gonna be no different than these Wood fans who show up to every Islamic dilemma video and literally copy-paste the exact same verses and arguments that were addressed and debunked in the video. If you have any comments you want to pass on to me, feel free to email me at dawahforamerica@gmail.com. You know, I think I've done a pretty good job keeping away from controversies, mainly because of my terrible upload schedule. However, I probably got bit by a dog full of rabies right before I decided to make this video. But since we're here, let's discuss some points. What is da'wah? What are the different types of da'wah? When I say we need women in da'wah, what type of da'wah am I talking about?
This seems to be acceptable to Shmoli or unholy Shmoli.
Da'wah is inviting people to Islam. It's pretty much the same word as dawat in Urdu, where you're inviting people to your house for a dinner party. Except here, you're inviting them to the most awesome party of their life. The Pakistan People's Party. No, I'm just kidding. The Ummah. The Muslim Ummah. Now, there is no one-size-fits-all approach for da'wah. Da'wah doesn't have to be going on the street and debating people.
I can show you where the Bible says Jesus is the Son of God.
I got you. Listen. But if the Bible is filled with mistakes, how can you believe in a book, put your salvation, knowing there are clear, undeniable errors in it?
Khabib gives da'wah by demonstrating the manners of the Prophet ﷺ to the world.
I was talking about, no, I don't want to be like Muhammad Ali. I look at our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. This is for us example. Takbir!
Muslim traders demonstrated da'wah to the Indonesians through trading with Islamic rules rather than riba. Some people decided to do da'wah by ripping off Indian disco songs. But that was a one-time thing. Definitely never happened again.
Islam is a way of life, a complete way.
Tum dena sat mera oh hum nava. Da'wah can be done through good character, good articulation, but if all else fails, just own a shotgun.
Convenience store robberies don't usually end like this one. Instead of cash, the store owner pulled out a rifle, a big one, bringing the robber to his knees.
He's starting crying. He's a big man. He's crying. He says, I'm sorry. I have no food. I have no money. I have no job. My family, my whole family hungry for whole weeks.
Muhammad Sohail then gave the robber $40 and some bread, making him promise never to rob again.
I feel just like it break my heart. So I feel bad for him. He's still crying, begging with me. I said, okay. I try to help everybody.
There's more. The robber told Sohail he wanted to be a Muslim, just like him. So Sohail told him to raise his right hand and repeat a Muslim prayer. And with that, the attempted robbery ended in a handshake.
Now, where do women fit into this? Can women give any of these forms of da'wah? Well, if they learn how to shoot, they can probably do this. If they don't know how to shoot, they can just wear the hijab and behave like a good, humble Muslim woman and do pretty good da'wah.
If you need any help, Judge, I can help you.
Okay, all right, well, I appreciate that. I don't want to waste your time. Take 190 for it?
Oh, 190.
Cash?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Deal. All right.
Over 1 million views without counting shorts and other avenues. But, unfortunately, in the world we live in, we gotta also have other forms of da'wah. Because we are facing an onslaught of shaitan followers who intentionally demonize and lie about us. So the Ummah needs people to stand up against this onslaught and provide the truth to the public. This requires many qualities: smart people, articulate people, knowledgeable people, relatable people, wise people. Some people are articulate but not smart. Some people are knowledgeable but not wise. Most people are none, and they fill up the comment section. Now, a very important factor people don't seem to take seriously is relatability. But it is a very important thing. I've done street da'wah for a decade. One of the main things non-Muslims love about our conversations are, man, that was a nice, genuine, relatable conversation. Why? Because I can connect with an American in that way. However, if I go to a black inner city hood area, a brother from the hood will be way more effective in communicating to them than me. It's a totally different way of communicating.
Being able to hold conversations, being intellectual. When I came up, rappers just said, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's all we knew.
An Afghan-speaking Pashto will communicate far more effectively to other Pashtun Afghans than whatever Bibi Shirini I throw at them. If some Indian auntie shows up near the da'wah table, I got a much better shot speaking to her in her language than our Syrian brother would trying to talk to her in English, and so on and so forth. There's examples from the Sirah as well. Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, one of the earliest converts to Islam, was from the tribe of Ghifar, a tribe of troublemakers who were known to rob and loot caravans. They were the gangsters of 7th century Arabia. The Prophet ﷺ didn't send Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to give da'wah to Ghifar. He sent Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, who had only met the Prophet ﷺ once prior to that. He had no comprehensive knowledge of Islam yet. It is said he was probably the 4th or 5th convert to Islam, but because he was from the gangster tribe, he knew how to communicate with the other gangsters. He was relatable, and he converted the whole tribe to Islam. Not just that, he even converted half of the other rival gangster tribe, Banu Aslam. So similarly, women can communicate with women more effectively in general. There's a relatability factor you cannot ignore. I'm not going to be able to give examples of jewelry or, you know that feeling when you open your closet and have nothing to wear? No! I don't know that feeling. There's topics like menstruation, pregnancy, postpartum, breastfeeding, those random village men sliding into your DMs. Think of how weird it is to hear a bearded guy on YouTube telling them that you have to check your inner garments to see if you're supposed to be praying or not. Imagine a sheikha telling you what to do when you got too excited that one time.
This is an issue of dispute whether sprinkling it is sufficient or running the water and washing it. And I am inclined to running the water on it and washing it is safer.
On top of that, there's many doubts that are specific to women. There's a specific sensitivity in which you'd want to answer those questions. For example, I'm not going to call out any famous preachers, but there are videos where women are asking live questions to male da'is about bad treatment from deadbeat husbands or husbands cheating on them. And the da'is start unloading on the women.
What the f***?
I've made a few videos where women were the main topic. There's one video where I tackled a hadith that without context or proper understanding would disturb a number of women, which Islamophobes intentionally would try to shove on your face. There were comments of guys saying, "I don't know why anyone would find this problematic." And this is what I'm saying. If you're so distant or unconcerned with things that affect 50% of the Ummah, if you're not relatable to them, you're gonna push them aside. And guess who's gonna pick up the pieces? When these Muslim women see the stalwarts of Dawah not taking their issues seriously, the feminista preachers will take over.
People who say rejecting a hadith is kufr is literally committing shirk, because they're taking the word of men as the word of God. You're putting the word of men at the same level as the word of God.
You may be wondering, who watches this stuff? Well, a lot of people, mainly women, and they'll support this garbage. Look, let me give you a different type of example to show what I'm talking about. I'm a South Asian guy. I grew up in the Middle East. I know very, very well the mistreatment of domestic workers and laborers in the Middle East. Imagine I see a video of a domestic worker calling into some Khaliji sheikh saying, "My employer beat the heck out of me and hasn't paid me my wages. He's stolen my passport. What can I do Islamically?" And the genius sheikh decides to say, "I cannot just believe you because you say so. I wasn't there. I need to get both sides of the story." No employer withholds wages because it is illegal, so I cannot believe that. He took your passport? Why did you let him? You don't know your rights? You didn't read your contract before coming here? And now you're putting the blame elsewhere? Give me a break. As far as beating, you must have done something to annoy your employer. Look how you are bad-mouthing him on this call. You must be of bad character. First of all, aise sheikh ko pehle do chand maro. I would get pissed off listening to that. And imagine, actually I don't have to imagine, this actually happens. The only people raising any sort of noise on these issues are the Western liberal human rights groups. Of course I'm gonna become sympathetic with them. I'm gonna lose faith in these Khaliji sheikhs representing Islam, and I'll place my confidence with the Western liberal blue-haired guy. Look, I've been around the block. I've had a YouTube presence for a while now. I get messages and emails. I got a message from a girl in Pakistan, mainly because I speak her language, telling me she knew of a girl who was drowning on the beach. A guy jumped in and saved her life. The dad of the girl was pissed, saying, "I'd rather let her drown than have a non-mahram man touch her." She then told me the local Maulvi or Imam of her village agreed with the dad. Think about the stupidity of this. Not to mention, this has nothing to do with Islam. If female companions of the Prophet are allowed to treat wounds of the non-mahram male companions, you can for sure save a life. But she's telling me there were several instances like this where she did not feel valued in her society for being a woman, and the imams and Maulvis would weaponize Islam against her. And it got to the point that she became an atheist, and only later on she came back to Islam after watching good Islamic content. She named our brother the Muslim Lanterns channel as a decisive channel to bring her back. So may Allah reward him. Now you can say this stupidity is only in Pakistan. We don't have the same problems elsewhere, but you couldn't be more wrong. Look at this brilliant high IQ maneuver by Saudi Arabia's Dawah during a fire in a girls' school in Mecca. The girls were locked inside with a fire raging, with the firefighters outside. But the Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice decided these women cannot exit to save their lives because the women aren't wearing niqab. These idiots have the blood of those girls on their hands. If any local Saudi has any more info on this other than the official version, feel free to share this in the comments. This is what we're up against. Not only do people giving da'wah have to fight the external idiots weaponizing Islam, we need to also fight the internal idiots doing the same. Now, I have digressed a lot. A bunch of these issues I brought up doesn't require a woman giving da'wah. A smart man can clear these misconceptions just as well, if not better. But having women helps. I don't mean this feminista crap. I don't mean sheikhas and ustadas telling women that every ruling in Islam related to women has nothing to do with biological limitations, but because men are the problem. It's a long story, I'll tell you later. But I mean someone who can defend Islam online with a higher pitched voice, because quite frankly, even a higher pitched voice affects who listens to you. Look at my audience. Only 10.5% of my audience are women, with 0.3% of views coming from these chakke. The two main videos where I have a slightly higher percentage of women watching is this video about female prophets and the Jubilee video, probably because of my thumbnail. I can guarantee you, if you take a Muslim woman's channel, let's say the Muslim mom, or the Muslim mum, I can bet she has a higher percentage of women viewership than I do, even though the vast majority of her content is not women-centric at all. So, men are doing what they can do at the forefront of da'wah, but we're not reaching the Muslim women. And ignoring that reality is the exact reason why everyone cries a few years later when those ignored women start doing un-Islamic things. So what can women do to engage more women and to defend Islam from the external and internal onslaught?
When you pass by the meadows of Jannah, can you imagine a garden of Jannah?
They will be close to Allah, and it's so beautiful. And the hur are there, you hear music, and you see all these vegetables and fruits coming. And the guy says, okay, I don't know what I want more, you or Jannah.
Women can and should do da'wah. They can do it on YouTube. They don't have to be leading the effort while all the men hang their boots, but they should be involved. But it's haram, bro. It's not haram. Anyone who says it's haram has no clue what they're talking about. I'm not going to get into a theological pissing contest with anyone. Just watch the discussion between these two brothers if you really want to get more detailed explanations. But by the end of the video, they both agreed women can give da'wah, even to non-mahram men, as long as certain criteria are met. What those criteria are, they mostly agreed, but had some differences. The differences were subjective interpretations of hadith that different scholars will look at differently.
It's one thing to have an opinion on a matter of dispute. It's another thing to say this is the only opinion and none of these other opinions matter. Not only that, they're all misguidance.
So how can women give da'wah while meeting standards that don't disrupt the hijab or basic adab? Abbe, ye kya dal diya? How can we harvest the raw talent some women genuinely possess and not let it get wasted? First thing is, whether you are a man or a woman, if you don't have da'wah skills to come online and preach, if you don't have maturity, you don't have wisdom, you bicker easily, don't do da'wah. We already have too many of these characters here. We don't need more unwise people. But let's say you're a woman who has talent and you want to do something for the Ummah. You want to defend Islam. There's many avenues you can utilize online. And I don't mean just sharing hadiths on an Instagram page or Twitter handle, even though that's very important and useful as well. But let's say you want to share your thoughts more than just that. Start a YouTube channel. You don't have to live stream and engage with people directly. I don't do that myself. Look, here's an old channel that for whatever reason seems to not be getting the same views anymore. Truth shall prevail. I believe the owner of this channel was a young girl. Unless it was a young boy, then this whole thing will be embarrassing. She doesn't speak in most of these videos. This is before AI voiceovers, but there were a few videos where she spoke. I remember this channel being pretty useful for me growing up. But look, no face reveal, no fitnah of flirting or making hearts on screen or whatever, no live streams. I'm not totally against live streams, but it does have the potential of getting messy. It requires a very certain type of talent who can keep their cool and not get pissed off, possess the right knowledge, and then on top of that, maintain proper decorum, not curse or speak in a flirty way or make hearts or anything. It's much harder to maintain. If you are doing it, then just try to be cognizant of all these avenues Shaitan can try to undo the good you are doing. If you want to start something though, then channels like this are perfect. Heck, you can even do what I'm doing. I don't hold any live streams. I don't show my face, mostly, yet. You don't have to sing and entertain the way I do, but just having a higher and squeakier voice will attract more women than this pitiful 10% metric. Who knows how many women you'll be able to pull away from all this trash? You can talk about much needed topics that men wouldn't even think about. I mean, just look at this concept. All the male da'is are celebrating the work this non-Muslim woman did. Get our sisters to start thinking out of the box and involved in spreading the correct message of Islam, instead of wasting your time watching TV. Do this stuff and be a net asset for the Ummah.